Hello, my name is Maria Pulido and my partner is Daniela Martinez, and today we're going to talk about the picture of Dorian Gray. The author is Oscar Wilde and it was first published in 1890. It's a novel and the genre is fantasy, horror, and philosophy.
About the author, Oscar Wilde lived a life that was in many ways as colorful and dramatic as those of the characters he invented. He was born in October 16, 1854, in Dublin, Ireland, and died on November 30 in 1900. He published poetry, criticism, fiction, including fairy tales and plays. He married Constance Lloyd in 1884, and they had two sons, but in 1881, Wilde began an affair with Lord Alfred Douglas.
The Picture of Dorian Gray is Wilde's only novel. It was originally published in 1889 in Lippincott's monthly magazine as a 13-chapter story, but eventually became a 20-chapter long novel that was published in 1890, and later on, in 1891, he added a preface. It was very controversial for its moral content because Victorian readers were shocked by its promotion of a hedonistic lifestyle and its shameless references to sexuality. However, he defends the artistic content over the moral one because his principles were heavily based on asceticism, an art movement in the late 19th century which privileged the aesthetic value of literature, music, and the arts over their socio-political functions.
The characters are Basil Hallward is the painter that discovered Dorian and captured his beauty. Dorian Gray is the protagonist. He stays beautiful and young forever. Instead, his portrait changes with age and sin. Lord Henry Wotton is a witty cynic that awakens Dorian's vanity. Sybil Vane is a lovely young actress, and finally James Vane is Sybil's older brother whom tries to get revenge.
Plot summary. The story starts with Basil painting a portrait of Dorian Gray. Next to him, Lord Henry Wotton examines the portrait and discusses his beauty with Basil. And eventually, when Dorian arrives, Henry makes him realize his beauty, and Dorian wishes the painting would age instead of him.
A month later, Dorian falls in love with Sybil Vane when he sees her extraordinary performance at the theater. However, not long after, he breaks up with her because after she fell in love with him, her acting became terrible. After this, Sybil kills herself, and a line of cruelty magically appears on the picture of Dorian. And when he checks himself in the mirror, he realizes that the line isn't there.
He then hides the painting so no one finds out, and reads a novel given to him by Henry that influences him for years. Dorian indulges himself in sensual and immoral activities, to the point his portrait is horrible. Years later, Dorian lets Basil see his transformed portrait, and then kills him for his horrified response.
Dorian visits an opium den where James Vane recognizes and threatens him because he blames him for the death of his sister. A few days later, James Vane is accidentally killed while he's stalking Dorian. At the end of the story, Dorian stabs the painting to destroy any evidence of his link to Basil, and dies as a result.
Analysis and review. We consider this literary work an amazing representation of the glorification of beauty, as the main focus of the novel is a portrait that ages and changes whenever Dorian does something immoral, while his face remains the same, beautiful and unmarked. So, at the end, when Dorian finally dies, the portrait goes back to its initial beauty, expressing that art lasts forever, perfectly, whereas life does not, and so, art prevails on life.
Unlike mentioned before, this signifies a triumph of the aesthetic movement that contrasts the Victorian idea of art with a social purpose. And as a fun fact, Dorian comes from the Greek art, and Gray means that the character lost his innocence, his purity, after having met Lord Henry. Thanks for watching our video.